I have no idea how many people would love with or what I do. Thank God that you know, we are very about that. And some of the conflict I can be a little worried about my health or my mental state. They say, oh, what do you mean your last lecture? Well, I said, you know, 75 years old, a cancer survivor, you never know when you got that. Honestly, right? So that's why, I mean, some universities, they even have a series called the last lecture series. Yeah. So that's why my last lecture. And also, this might be the last mini conference I run. So that's why it's called my last lecture. More importantly, I can try saying, when a dying man speaks, people listen. They better listen to me. Because you know why? Because you know you have 6 seconds to live or 1 day to live. The message you share with your family has to be something important. Right? So today I want to share with you 7 lessons I have learned in my life. Yeah, 7 sounds good, right? This is my 7th conference, and this is the 7th number. Okay? So next slide. I don't know how to use damn thing. Anybody help me? You can have a good life, no matter how bad the situation. And that's a very important lesson. That's why I've been fighting with American positive psychology. They also about positive psychology for times of prosperity and peace. And when things are normal or good, I say the opposite. I say, you can have a good life no matter how bad your circumstances. Okay? You know why? Because every negative can become a positive, and every adversity can become an opportunity. So I'll tell you my life story to prove that one. Okay? Now, this morning we listened to Chris Peterson. You know, positive psychology is mainly about positive things. Positive psychology 2.0 is about the bad potential, the dark side of good things, and the bright side of bad things. Right? Bad can be good, good can be bad. Like Chinese yin yang symbol. So your rotten experience can be a source of blessing, and I will prove to you with my own life. Yeah. Now, you ask my wife, I always say I was born under the wrong star. I was a lucky man. My 2 sons are lucky people because they're born into a warm, secure home. I was a lucky man. But at the same time, I'm also the luckiest bad luck guy. Because when I fell and to the bottom, I thought it was cancer. Sorry for that. Now, I'm sorry for that. Okay, let me give you the proof that I'm a man of bad luck. My birth caused Japanese invasion. 19 massacre, Japanese war. I had most aggressive cancer that killed 80% of people who got that. So I'm still standing. Okay? I got kicked off from church. Now, how many people got kicked off from church? I started a new church. And Samayin is the beautiful Samayin. Somewhere, my brother. Yeah, Hebrew church for me. And I kicked off by my wife's parents. You poor church pastor, you're qualified to marry a daughter. I got kicked off. How many people got kicked off by future parents-in-law? Right? But she still married me. Thank God for that. So, I have experienced more rejections, more bad luck than most people. Yeah. Level 2, faith can move mountains. William James believed that life is worth living, and your belief will help create the fact. Now, everything about psychology began with William James. I can keep the Asian William James from title. But scientific research has demonstrated that talk about this spirituality and science, there more and more evidence show that the power of faith is more than a placebo effect. Now, if you're a believer, you can experience that God can do amazing things in your life. Okay? So have faith in God, everything changes. So the best decision in my life is to become a Christian. Okay? Now, I know some of you may be offended, so be it. Okay? But that's my belief, and you have your story. Now, while I was in Australia, I was in Melbourne, University of Melbourne, and gave a talk to educators. I told them my spirit journey, and after my talk, and one very well-dressed gentleman, oh, thank you so much, who dared to mention Jesus in a scientific meeting. I do it all the time. Okay? That's why I'm a Christian first, psychologist second. Okay? Now, another thing is that I can't tell you all the bad things that happened to me. There's so many bad things. But looking back, someone out there looking out for me. Man or woman, man evil, but God, man good. All plans evil turn into good. That's my life story. Not only outsider, but I'm almost like the Old Testament Joseph. Every bad thing I gone through, actually for my good. Eh? And also, God not only engineer circumstances, but you experience the blessing. Those American psychologists never understand. Blessed are those who mourn. They talk about happiness, through happiness enhancing activity. I think when you're happy, you mourn with those who grieve. You cry with those who cry. I remember Mother Teresa, she asked her, what is your happiest moment? Guess what? What's the answer? My happiest moment is to hold a dying man and help him to die in peace. Okay. The third lesson I have learned is that your ability to manage meaning is the most powerful tool of survival. And also with this conference, I got so frustrated, so pissed off, people that don't understand, don't get it. You talk about meaning making and this and that. The meaning management, your ability to manage meaning is your ability to manage both negative meaning, positive meaning, and their interaction, so that to help you navigate through troubled water to achieve life goal. So this book I have, in the second edition, a lot of evidence and my theory, I talk about how we manage both positive emotion, negative emotion, positive thought, negative thought. Manage them in a way that they serve your ideal, your pursuit. Now, most important, this is Lei Xi, right? We have Lei Xi here. Oh, I have a Lei Xi package. See? Lei Xi. That is for my brother. Where's my brother? Oscar. Where? Oh, Oscar. Those who are asleep. Thank you for Lei Xi. Lucky money. I don't know how much inside, but be good. And now, I emphasize meaning because I mentioned the capacity for making money, managing money, because meaning is a double blessing. You know why? Your capacity to make money, meaning, is your best protection against bad events, internal and external. There are research showing that meaning related to grief, recovery from grieving, meaning related to health, mental health, physical health. So it's the best protection. The second blessing is that your capacity to make meaning is also is the most promising pathway to healing, to resilience, and to flourishing. And we talked about it for 4 days. There's lots of evidence about that, right? So if you know how to harness the power of meaning making, you have double blessing. Okay. Now, last few days, I have a lot of interviews from TV stations, newspaper, radio talk shows. They say, how do I make sense with tragic events like Colorado mass shooting, or someone who has lost the whole family, or someone who has been abused? How do you help people to make sense of the horror? I don't know how American psychologists will do. They may tell them, oh, you do exercise to make you happy. Oh, develop a character strength can make you feel good. I don't think any of that would work. All they need is something that Frank will offer, something I offer. I say, look, lady, no matter how horrible life is worth living, there is intrinsic value in life. Now transform with magic. That's magic. I'm suggesting that your ability to make money, to transform negative events in the past one, is only limited by your faith, and only limited by your imagination. Okay? That nothing cannot be transformed in past. The Bible says so, psychologists say so, and I say so. That's community. Now, meaning also important for you to develop, discover a meaning and purpose in your life. And research has made very clear that if your life has no direction, no purpose, you just don't have the passion, don't have the energy to move forward. Right? But the question is, I'm scared. Oh, can I go back 1 second? How to go back? Oh, I'm so. Thank you, my sweet Austin. Oh, thank you. You're so smart. I'm a big cheese, okay? It's dangerous around me, you know. You never know what I was saying. I'm a dangerous man, remember that. So my fellow therapist, please don't mention my name. Don't embarrass me, I'm very shy. So I mention your name now, okay? So this whole saying is that you need purpose, but what purpose? It's the quality of choice. Is your choice praiseworthy? It's a choice commendable, that the choice have a positive value in life. Okay? So I developed a mini mindset orientation. Now, next time, see, most people are concerned about failure of success. I'm telling you, if your basic orientation is success, you'll be sorry. Even if you succeed, you'll experience disillusion. You'll be still unfulfilled because the human desire, human greed can never be satisfied. And also, one person succeeds, 100,000 people fail on roadside. So if that is, I see many clients who are depressed, they are happy because they pursue success. Now, the vertical line invented by Viktor Frankl, who had a lot of friends from logotherapy here, right? They said, if you're able to switch from success, failure dimension to meaning, fulfillment dimension, your life is much better, even when you fail. See? That's why I want to help my clients say, don't worry about people laugh at you, people marginalize you, you fail. The important thing is that you do something that matters to you. Right? Now, I also developed the deep why hypothesis. Now, who is the woman who developed Bill and Brown and Bill? What's her name? Huh? The American famous woman. Barbara Fredrickson and is it Bill and what's the theory? Braun and Bill. So she became very famous because her theory said that you're happy, you're able to broaden your scope and build relationship. So one day I interviewed her, I said, Barb, your story was half a story. The real deal is deep and wide. The negative emotion, adversity, is more powerful than positive emotion. Negative emotion deepen your resources, deepen your faith, toughen your character. You know, it has a deepening effect. And also, why means increase your exploration, increase your creativity. Now, do you know the famous saying is that, what's that? Is that adversity is the father of strength, carry strength. And your need, your necessity is the mother of invention. Right? I mean, look, you know about Chinese history? I mean, many refugees, there are among refugees in Hong Kong before coming government here. So many refugees went to Hong Kong, no job, no nothing, but through poverty, their ingenuity, their entrepreneurship developed. Many of the poor refugees become millionaires. And even now, see, every time when China is going through an economic downturn, the government is smart, the government losing the control. Depend on people to rise up, to create wealth, to create jobs. So I'm saying that I'm a research, I can in all the research experiment finding to you, but if you pursue people of wrath, expose them to adversity in a gradual level, they are doing amazing things. I'm able to teach rats how to count. I'm able to teach rats to be creative. I mean, I have an article in Neuroscience that when you teach rats to learn complex tasks, their brain function differently. And the REM sleep 10 times the more than rats that learn in simple time. So adversity makes your brain more powerful, makes your learning capacity more powerful. So every step in your life shapes you into the person you are. Okay? Now, here's the point. I've demonstrated that everybody has a breaking point. Everybody just happiness. Everybody has a set point of happiness. Similarly, everybody has a breaking point. Based on your experience, your genetic makeup. What breaking point? You see, for him, I train rats to press the bar 1 for pallet. That equals to 10. They press 10 times the pallet. That's the breaking point for a rat. Some rat is able to press 150 times for one lousy pallet. Now those rats are special. They have very high tolerance of frustration. So we should be able to train our children to have high tolerance of frustration and a high breaking point. Okay? Now, I'm saying the key to resilience is meaning. Okay? If you find meaning in suffering, if you have something worth fighting for, worth dying for, you're able to tolerate a lot. And then 5, you have to be willing to be a fool for your ideals. Fools, yes, but something really matters. 1 Corinthians chapter 4. I can't read the full chapter for you. Go read it out. Okay? You can find the chapter and see me or ask Dr. Wang. Now here's the thing. I make a fool of myself all the time. Even now I make a fool of myself. If you're not willing to make a fool of yourself, that means you're not willing to sacrifice anything for something of value. Okay? Now here is my favorite character, Don Quixote. Do you know this book? I don't know what else on seriously. After the latest survey, this is the most popular novel in all history. Don Quixote. Now you wonder, why this stupid story, is so popular? Because it resonates people. I mean, this guy tilting against the windmill, he holds a job, right? But he's still a little donkey with friends pursuing ideal. That's what inspires us. This is life all about. You fight against injustice, you fight against poverty, you fight against diseases, cancer. Right? Sometimes it looks like an impossible task, but you really believe in that. You continue to fight that. Now here's another fool. Everybody know the story? The old fool tried to move the mountain. Now if you go up into China, you know transportation from one village to another village. Often you have to go through a very dangerous path to go to another city. So this old man said, "No, I want to move the mountains so that my children can, from my village to the city, without losing their life, climbing through the mountain, going to a narrow path, so the shuffle, snow, with a rock, what do you call that? Huh? Pack of whatever tool it was. No, poor old man. People laugh at him. I said, what did I do? I want to move the mountain. You silly old man. You think a little old man like you can move the mountain. I said, oh wow, 2 children, awesome, let's see. They can help the old man to come. But they are their children who care about. So keep on doing it, eventually they will move the mountain. So that story is famous in China. Because not the collective power, but the commitment, the determination to do something good for the village. Okay? Now here's my hero, Hudson Taylor. He's crazy. Look at him. Doesn't look like Chinese, doesn't look like a Westerner. It's crazy. But Tyndale has a center in his name. Hudson Taylor. You know why? An American. At a time when China is full of danger for Westerners, proxy operations, right? So they kill missionaries. But this guy is willing to go to the most remote area of China to preach the gospel because they love 10 people. So he's a fool for Christ's sake. Now, lesson 6. Meaningful living is costly but worthwhile. On my Facebook Meaningful Living project, I have this. Don't ask if it's going to be easy, ask if it's going to be worth it. Now, in America, it's called the Happiness Project. How to be happy? Happiness is easy self. Everyone's happy, right? But you challenge people to live in a meaningful life, that's more difficult because it costs you, right? Now, the secret of meaningful living is to give your life away. Now, I don't think the American Friends got this. Got that. What is called? Speak out. But anyway, American psychologists talk about, to become meaning, you pursue something bigger than yourself. You have to be happy. The whole thing is that if you really pursue something bigger than yourself, you're not concerned for happiness, but you have to give yourself away. I run meaningful living group, I own my home. I never expect anything in return. I'm not doing it for my happiness. I thought I should spread the message, but happiness comes from the left back door. And look all the, can you stand up, all the meaningful living group people, come on, stand up. All these beautiful people, where are they? Come on. This is a small part. I have 20 people in the meaningful living group. I can see the life change. What's that? I think it's Dan. Dan sick. Sick again. Dan. He first came in, he's in the corner, he's so shy, and looks sad. Look, he's flourish. Here's an example of what meaning can do to you. It's Bible study group, I'm telling you. The Bible will have more, right? Now, also, when I say something big and be happy, but there isn't anything bigger than serving God, people. You can't think about anything bigger. And can anyone go? Number 7. You in the mission that worth living, worth dying for. My mission is serving God, serving others with technology. What's yours? Conclusion, okay? My life, my journey is not one of searching for success, happiness, but the quest for meaning and spirituality. My life story can sum up as a story of redemption. Okay? And my friend Nelson Mandela, you'll never realize your impossible dream. You never realize that your impossible dream until you're willing to sacrifice everything to achieve. So if you got a dream, you're not willing to pay the price, you'll never achieve it. Yeah. So my last image, speak for itself. My last legacy is to leave a good memory in my friends and family. I hope the memory of this event will stay with you for a long time. Thank you.